What up? What up, everybody? Happy Thursday. We are on the precipice of the weekend, and Thursday night's a great time to have folks on because we get to talk all things grid and grind. We got Artur Cabral of the South Beach Palms. He's going to be joining us. It's been a while since we've had him on. We got to talk about this past season. We've got to talk about his off season. I see him doing a lot of training, a lot of garage gym training, a lot of training at the gym. I mean, he's just doing it all. We got to talk about next season, what his plans are. Is he coming back? Is he going somewhere else? Is he retiring? What's in store for Artur? But before we bring him on, obviously the Grid and Grind show is brought to you by the Mental Game Performance Coaching. If you need mental performance, health coaching, nutrition coaching, or just general life coaching, go to tmgperformancecoaching.com and check out the best coaches in the game. Chinook seeds, whether you're on the field or in the boardroom signing deals, Chinook helps you get the job done. 8 flavors, mild to wild. Go to your local gas station, grocery store, convenience store, and pick up the best sunflower seeds in the game. And Old Dominick Distillery, bourbon, vodka, whiskey, gin. I'm telling you, OldDominickDistillery.com. They got you covered. Go pick up your favorite bottle. I'm telling you, you won't be disappointed with anything that you choose. With that, let's bring them on. Let's get to it. Artur, what's up, brother?
How's it going?
I'm blessed. My feet hit the ground this morning. It was early. Got a workout in, got some work done, and got to see the kids for a little bit. Had a nice dinner, and now I get to talk grid with you. So I mean, I can't complain. It's a great night, man.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Good to hear.
Yeah. First, I guess out of the gate, yesterday I scrolling the socials and I see United Grid League post Eastern Conference All-Stars, and guess who's on there? My man, Artur.
Yeah, I was very surprised.
Brother.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
When you see that and you read that, what does that mean anything to you? I mean, obviously you got to feel good about it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It feels great. I mean, it feels good to be recognized. Of course, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it feels great. It's a great accomplishment. I think that's like it goes to everyone who was nominated for All-Star team on both conferences. Like, they're only incredible athletes. If you're in the league, you're already an absolute incredible athlete. But if you're recognized as someone that did well this season, it feels awesome. And I mean, I said on my Instagram post, like I couldn't have done without the team. Like, me by myself, I couldn't have done anything. And so thanks to my team, South Beach Palms, always on my side, doing everything that they can to support each other, and that's really all that matters.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when you think about being an all-star, you look at the other all-stars that are listed, like high-level performers, but it's got to mean something that the fans, the owners, the coaches, and the teams and players and your peers, they think highly of you to recommend you for an award like that. But now that you're an all-star, you know what that means, right? The bar has been raised, so now you gotta maintain it. So I guess that's what we're gonna talk about tonight. The maintaining the status of all-star. But the first thing I want to talk about is the Palms. Palms were not a part of the playoffs for 2025, but obviously you got to take a look at it. You got to watch from a different lens. When you look at the playoffs, I mean, just initial reactions. What were your reactions as you watched it unfold?
Yeah, it was interesting watching from afar. I couldn't be there in person. I would love to have been there and do the Ringer tournament, but I had a hard decision to make because the Masters games were happening the same weekend. So I had to make the trip to support a few of my friends that are competing that weekend. So as much as I was loved to be there, it was heartbreaking to not. But watching from afar, it gives you some perspective. I mean, overall, if you ask me, like, well, what do you think of the weekend? Overall, I thought it was to be expected. I didn't think there was anything um, that I'm like super surprised that happened or didn't happen. Um, Everything that I saw and watched and the results and everything is like, yeah, that sounds about right. Like that, what I think would happen. Um, However, not to say that the races were not incredible. Like the matches, both the playoff matches and the championship match were thrilling. Watching the championship match and this the sprint relay being the decide what decides the championship was, you couldn't ask for anything better than that, right? Like it comes to the last race, to the last couple movements, and
I
yeah,
mean,
it was awesome.
when you think about it, like it was the female triad, male triad that led into this, sprint relay being for everything. And I think that,
Yep.
we lose sight of like how the dominoes had to fall to make it like the sprint relay be the thing that it came down to. And I think from a spectator standpoint, from a league standpoint, when you get those two teams and it comes down to that, I think you couldn't have scripted a better way for it to end. But the big question, Artur, is when you look at the season as a whole, and then you look at the playoff matches and the championship match, did the best team win?
I would say so. I would say so this year. The Sharks have an extremely stacked roster, and they put in the work. They live and breathe, grid, and they're all in. And not to say that we are not all in or other teams are not all in, but when you combine, a roster that has no holes and people that work extremely hard, I mean, you get the results that you get, right? So I do think the best team won. To be completely honest, um, the Lions are all also an extremely stacked roster. They are a super talented team, especially combining the previous aces into this roster that they already had. That was great. They suffered kind of like us with like some people missing in certain matches and injuries and schedule conflicts and stuff like that, which is unfortunate. Maybe if they had a full roster all season, the result could have been different. I don't know. Um, but with the people that were there and the people that competed, I think yeah, the Sharks were um, superior on that match.
Do you think any match format would have made a difference, or do you think all of the match formats, you think no matter what you substitute in there or what you add in there, you think the Sharks, because they were the better team, end up winning it all?
I might get some heat for this, but I don't think so. I think that the match format, it was not super relevant. Sometimes it does. I do think certain situations the match format matters a little bit more depending on the roster and the combination of teams that are playing at that format. But I think on the championship, I don't think it mattered that much, despite the differences in roster. I do think that um, when it comes to completeness of roster, and I hope the teams don't take that the wrong way, I'm just from a pure analytical standpoint, I think when you look at like strength, utility, and gymnastics separate, for the elements that were presented in that championship match, there were a couple of holes on the Lions side that the Sharks didn't have. Um, so I think that determined that, and plus Nick Shappy, props to you, my guy, doing the fastest pistol thrusters that I've ever seen my entire life. I don't understand how you can squat and stand up that fast, but all in all, yes, I
Yeah,
don't
I
think
mean,
the match format will change much.
you, either way, I mean, you gotta give credit to the Sharks. I mean, obviously they win every single match of the season and they take home the championship. And for all intents and purposes, they were the better team throughout the entire season. And so for them to win, you just kind of got to tip your hat and go, okay, they're the champs now. What do we got to do to take that from them? And I think that's kind of where we'll kind of lead the conversation now. But I do want to ask you. I've seen you on social media in the gym, but also in a garage gym at home. I didn't see you the last time we talked. I didn't see you much in a garage gym. Is this a new thing?
No. I guess I'm just recording myself more in the garage and posting more videos. I
It's
often
nice, man.
record.
It's
Yeah.
nice. You know?
I often record because I don't see my coach every day of the week. I only see him on weekends. So I record certain things to send it to him through the app, and so he can, evaluate and stuff like that. So sometimes I decide to post some, and I've been training a little bit more in the garage when I can do half of the training session or the entire training session in the garage. I will do that. Um, it's a nice garage gym. It's only one car garage, but I may do with the space that I have because we also have to park a car in the garage. We have two cars and one has to be in the garage, and the driveway is only big enough for one car. So everything has to be foldable. Everything has to be like against the wall or hung on the wall and stuff like that. But I can do basically everything besides gymnastics. To be fair, like besides like uh, rig gymnastics, like pull ups and stuff like that, because the ceiling's low. But
Yeah, I
everything
mean,
else is.
to be fair, like you would need a two-story roof
If
to
I was a regular
climb
sized
up
person,
one.
I could. Yeah.
Um, do you find it easier or not or harder to have intensity in workouts at home? Because I'm now transitioned. I was a CrossFit coach, level 1 for a while, level 2 for 5 years, and now I've transitioned to out of the gym and just working out in my garage exclusively. And it's the first thing I do every morning. That's kind of the dad move when you have kids. That's kind
Mhm.
of what you got to go to. But for me, like I've always been able to bring a level of intensity no matter if I'm with a class in a class setting or by myself. I don't know if that's just me, but for you, do you feel like it's easier or harder when you're by yourself at home?
It depends on the day. There are days that is a little bit harder, or especially if I'm doing like something in the gym and I come back to the garage to finish like accessory or like a second metcon or a conditioning piece, is harder to get going again
Yeah.
by yourself, and it's usually at night, and so it the body's already tired and you're trying to get gears going again, and it's a little bit harder. When I start early in the day, if I have the chance to like end work is slightly early and start the session in the garage early in the day, it's a little bit easier to motivate myself and blast some louder music instead of my headphones and get going, because the neighbors wouldn't like if I'm like doing a later session at night and just like blasting music in the garage. But
That's how
yeah.
you assert the alpha in the neighborhood, by
Dude,
working
let me tell
out.
you a story. I got a story about neighborhood alpha. So a couple weeks ago, my coach told me to do a reverse sled drag for 30 minutes with a dragging sled backwards. And I had to do that in the neighborhood because like our gym is like right on a highway, so it's like there's no way to like go out and just walk, on a
Right.
highway. So I did that in the neighborhood, and it was just me and the cars driving by the neighborhood gave me the weirdest looks. People walking their dogs, you're just like, what is this dude doing? Because I had a belt and a chain attached to the sled and the weight on the sled and just walking backwards. I was asserting my dominance, I guess.
That's the best feeling. I would do like front rack, like barbell lunges and overhead lunges, but I would do it outside on the sidewalk, like around, like down the street. And so,
Hmm.
like, that's the best. Those are the best looks when you're doing crazy stuff like that and people are just driving by. So I
Yeah.
feel you. Obviously,
Oftentimes, I don't have my garage door open, but sometimes I do. Yesterday, I did, and I was doing like shuttle runs on the driveway and like dumbbell bench press and front squats. And yeah, so I got some looks, especially if like there was no music going because I had my headphones on. But then I would like sometimes I would grunt and just like look if somebody was around. It's a weird feeling, man, but I guess people got used at this point.
Yeah, you just got to know they're talking about you behind your back. Just know that
Yeah,
you're that guy
probably.
in the group text thread that you're not in. You're the guy they talk about. So, um,
Yeah.
what what are you doing this off season in as far as fitness? I mean, obviously you've had a few weeks since grid ended, and so what have you been up to? What's high on the priority list right now?
Yeah. So I the weekend after Dallas, since we didn't make the playoffs, the weekend after Dallas, I had a competition, um, Magic City Games in Alabama, and where I saw a bunch of
Numerous
grid
people.
folks. Yeah, we had like 10 or 12 grid people there, from our team. Bailey was there. There was a bunch of the breakers. So it was fun. It was a blast seeing all of them and competing alongside them as well. So I did that. After that, I took almost a 2 week break of not training because my body was broken. After Dallas, unexpectedly, we had some like people that couldn't make Dallas, and so a lot of us had to take assignments that were not like expecting to, and just take it, to make sure that we have all bases covered. And I was I, I was not, I guess, let's put it that way, I was not used to be used that much. Now I know how it feels, and I will be ready for next season. But like being in like 9 out of 11 races in a match is something I was not ready for.
Well,
um and
back to
so
back
in
matches.
back-to-back days, yes. So after that competition, the following weekend, I took a well-deserved break of like a week and a half, and I did not go to the gym at all. um
Is that hard?
and it was not for the first week though. After like 7 days, you start like, so like after like the first week, I went and biked for 30 minutes in the garage, and then a few more days went by. I was like, oh, maybe I'm ready to like start building back up. So it was good. Actually, I felt good. I didn't miss the gym for the first entire week. So well deserved break, and it started 2 weeks after. So 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks after Dallas, I started training again, and um, building my training back up to compete. So I'm competing at Beach Brawl in
Okay.
Pensacola end of this month. I'll see some of the grid people there also, so that's going to be super fun. Um, so that's the next one up. So a good break in between like grid and like the last CrossFit comp until now would be like almost 3 months, which is good for recovering, building another block of training on top of that, making sure I'm ready for that because I'm doing elite individual and team co-ed team. So that's going to be definitely a full weekend.
Yes.
Um, yeah, and then I'm doing qualifiers for Fittest of the Coast coming back from Beach Brawl, which I'm competing with Billy from the Breakers. Shout out Billy.
What up, Billy? Okay, so when you have a coach and the programming does your programming season, is it start and coincide with CrossFit season or with grid, or like when does like, or does it just like a continuous programming and we know what competitions you're going to be in, so we kind of taper based on those competitions? Because I would imagine coach isn't really happy with, well, we got a competition coming up in a couple months, but Artur wants to take a week off.
Yeah, so that's the cool thing about working um, with a individualized coach. So I work with a one-on-one coach. His name is Kyle Spears from Blacklisted HQ. We have a whole group here in Georgia. There's people all over the country.
Let me say
Um,
something about blacklisted. All right.
uh-huh.
I have learned more through blacklisted just about training and about just like philosophy in general from podcasts and just following you guys on social media. So thank you for that. Like I'm
Yeah.
appreciative of Blacklisted HQ and what they do because it's big time. I
Yeah,
enjoy it.
absolutely. Kyle, Griffin, Pat, and the team there, they do a fantastic job working with their athletes. They do like we do also have generic program, like a competitors program that anybody can sign up and pay monthly, whatever, just like Mayhem or Proven or etc. There's and that's how I started off with Blacklisted for a month or so, and then I decided to go into individualized programming with Kyle. So the cool thing about working with a coach is that we can plan the season and plan the training around the competitions I want to do. And if there are things that I shouldn't be doing or is in my best interest not to do, like he'll be honest and say like, hey dude, I think you should take this one off and focus on this one instead. So it's a very nice conversation of like, okay, well, what are my goals? And everything's surrounded my goals, right? Like, so my goals, let's say for example, get stronger for grid, clear ladders, be in more mirrors, and help the team that way. Because I know I can, I just have to develop that, which is a work in progress. So we're going to work around that. But I say, hey, I still want to be competitive in CrossFit. So let's pick, maybe one or two competitions before grid season and maybe one or two after grid, and then plan around that. Because the grid season in itself, it's a big task to handle training wise, and the volume and the toll it takes on your body. So we plan the training around that and on the competitions that we think it makes sense. I'm not a professional athlete, despite being in a serious hobby, part-time, if you will. But I'm not a professional athlete. That's not what pays my bills. So I have to focus in like having fun. And I do grid because I love the sport. I have fun. And so we kind of like play around with like competitions that are cool to do and entertaining.
It's interesting you say that, because when you think about these competitions that you have upcoming, what is the goal? Is it to win? Is it to just say, man, I competed in a team and an individual competition in one weekend, and like that's kind of like just seeing where you're at? Or is it just getting stronger and fitter, and the competitions are just kind of a bonus and just kind of see where you stack amongst others?
Yeah. So for the beach brawl specific, the goal is to, I mean, it's kind of cliche, but like to execute to the best of my ability, which it might be top half of the field. Like beach brawl is like a very competitive, weekend. There's 40 elite men in the field. If I place top 20, maybe that's great, depending on who's there. Maybe it's top 15. But I think the goal will change depending on what is there. But if I can execute to the best of my ability, on the individual side, and they're little goals, I think they're more important than like placement wise for me. Is making sure that my aerobic capacity is where I want it to be, to be able to be competitive on workouts that I know I can. There are some workouts that are really good for me that I can probably place in the top 5. There are some that I'm going to be like, okay, maybe this is a top 15, 20 workout, half of the pack. So it's hard for me right now, it's hard to put in like a quantify the goal as far as like, oh, my goal is top 5 or my goal is top 10, whatever. So yeah, sorry, I don't have a super solid answer for that, but that's kind of, it's like playing by ear. And
I just get curious because my mental performance clients that I work with, one of the things that we focus hardcore on is what we can control, which is our effort and our intensity, and not so much worrying about what place we get or the success. That it's focusing on the task at hand and making sure that we perform at an optimal level so that we do perform to the best of our abilities, whether that means we win. And a lot of times, if you execute the way that you should, winning will come with that. But sometimes, like especially like with baseball, like you can execute and still lose at a high level, because there's a lot of failure in baseball, and in CrossFit and working out is the same thing. Like you could execute lifts to the best of your ability and strength wise, but someone else could always lift more. And so
Right.
kind of keeping that lens and staying like motivated in what you can do really helps to like keep motivation and keep yourself high and keep yourself moving forward, because you could bury yourself quickly if you're trying to worry about and do what other people are doing. It almost will take the fun out of what you're trying to accomplish, especially if, you know, you mentioned you're not a professional athlete. You're very much invested in fitness and what you do, and you want to do well, but you also want this to be a degree of fun too. You want to enjoy it. And when you stop enjoying it, it makes it that much more difficult to do on a day-to-day
Yeah.
basis.
And that's interesting that you said that, because like when I first started working with Kyle, I came with like very specific goals, like strength wise, and like I want to be in this mirror, I want to clear this ladder, whatever. I want to be able to cycle this bar for this many reps, and I was very like analytical. And I got to, and it also added a layer of like, oh, but I want a podium in this local comps, etc. And he was like, hey, let's, and it was an exercise that we did in the very beginning. It's like, hey, let's take the focus out of placement and take the focus out of like, okay, doesn't matter if we are first, second, third, 10th on that local competition, as long as we're achieving the goals that we're setting for yourself as far as like execution and what you want to do in this workout, etc. So that's why I kind of like shift my mentality to focusing on what I can execute, and exactly what you work with your clients is like focusing on what I can control. I can control if somebody, does a complex at 355 and I can only do at 305. You know what I mean? Like I can't control that. If I had only 305, that's all I got, and that's whatever placement I get. But if that was a PR for me and I could only do 285 in training, that's amazing. That's 20 pounds that I
think
PR there.
I think athletes, especially in CrossFit, they lose sight of that big time. Like they will PR something in a competition after multiple workouts on like the last day, but then they get hyper focused on it wasn't heavy enough. The other people did, but like it's the best like you got to be okay with that, like that's validation of training and hard work and effort that you've put in to get there. So
and it's not saying that you should be happy. Like, sorry, you should be happy with it. It's not saying that you should be satisfied. You should be happy with your performance because it was the best you got at that point. And of course, the sport is going to continue to evolve. Both CrossFit, grid, like, the races are going to get more competitive. The weights are going to get heavier. The teams are going to be able to execute faster. So you got to catch up to the field and do your best. But like, you can't change in that moment what happened, right? So be okay with it and focus on the next thing, and then think about what you need to change and improve for the next time. That's all you can really do.
What are you working on as far as, well, I guess the big question is, before we move into grid, is, are you re-signing? That's what we want to know. What is Artur doing? Like you could re-sign, you could sign with another team, you could test the waters of free agency, you could just retire altogether. But what are you doing?
Yeah, I'll say I'm eliminating the retirement option now. I love grid too much to not come back. But yes, I will be coming back next season and playing with the Palms.
Let's go. All right, so goals. Now that we know you're coming back, all right, what are you trying to do for next season? Like what's the goal in the off season? What do you want to commit to trying to get better at? Or for next season, is there a movement? Is there just getting stronger to clear ladders? Is it a specific race? Like what is it that you're training for to do or be different from this past season?
Yeah, for sure. The goal from my rookie season to my second season, it was to get stronger and be able to clear more ladders and participate in mirrors and help the team in also mirrors. So I think the goal continues to be getting stronger. I think you can't ever be too strong for the sport. So it's harder to get stronger when your limbs are twice the size of other people's limbs, especially like squatting speed and stuff like that. So definitely the goal is to get stronger and continue to be explosive, especially on the lower body. On the upper body, I can keep up a little bit more, but lower body with longer legs and the squatting rate not being ideal for me is very important for me to continue to get stronger for that.
But my bad, Johnny. My bad. Here you go. Here's another one. Got him. No.
Got him. But yeah,
Yeah,
so
I mean,
getting stronger and being able to continue to help the team in different areas to like fill in gaps. So, for example, maybe um, we were talking into like developing skills that I didn't have this year yet. I mean, I can do a lot of the gymnastics, but I can't do yet like the butterfly muscle ups or like forward rolls, backward rolls, things like that. So I know there's a lot of body to move around, but maybe I could be a backup to some of this stuff that whenever we need it, if we need it. So it's always good to have like a second, a third, a fourth person that can do it. So who knows?
I
We're
mean,
getting started on that.
we've seen you spin around that bar. We know what you're
Yeah.
capable of. Now we saw you in Tampa doing a little bit of coaching with the Palms, helping out. Is that something that you're interested in? Maybe not like in the immediate future, but when time starts rolling towards the back end of the career, is that something that, like, if grid is still heavy on your priority list, would you consider taking on like a coaching role?
Yeah, I would. I would love to still be involved in the sport when my body doesn't allow me to perform to the highest of levels. Um, that would be awesome to be part of the sport and continue to contribute. I mean, I'm very surprise. I'm very analytical, so like I love the analytics side of things, numbers and strategies. So um, if I can help the team in any other way besides physical, I would love to. I think I could add to a coaching staff for sure. It'll be super fun. It'll be super fun to continue to help the sport grow. And hopefully by the time I retire, everybody's paid and we're all professional athletes.
I mean, that'd be the dream, man.
Yeah.
What are your all right? So you're re-signing. You don't have to give any insight unless you want to of who might be coming back, who might be adding on to the Palms. But when you look at next season, what are your, I would say, I guess, way too early projections for next season?
Well, that is hard for the Palms or for the other teams, the league in general.
Let's you're gonna answer both, but we'll start with
Okay.
just the Palms, and then we'll filter into the league as a whole.
Yeah, like I said, it's way too early, but I know that our team will come back stronger. We're already working on filling some of the holes that we had last season. Well, it's weird to say last season, right? It was still this year. It was a
Yeah.
couple months ago, but we're working on some pieces to fill in the holes that we had this season. And again, it
What
seems for
what are
us
the holes?
always
What are the holes?
male gymnasts, right? Like we had the additional Edgar that came in clutch on some of the movements that we were very much missing last year. The ring to handstand that he was able to do, and other ring movements. The backward rolls. No, that was Riley. The backup rises and stuff like that he was able to do. But we need to have a deeper male roster on the gymnastics side, that's for sure. So that's one thing, and kind of like raw strength on both sides. We do have a relatively strong team, um, but we are looking to add some of like the raw strength people that can just like hammer through anything and everything they put in front of them.
Where do you find those people? are those players that are in the league currently, or are these people that you know from the gym, or is this you have to literally go out and search and find out new players?
It's a combination of a lot of that. So players, I wouldn't say players that are necessarily in the league now, but players that have played before and have that skill set are very valuable. Um, there's a combination of just like finding people in the wild and inviting them and hoping they reply to their Instagram DMs. We've done a lot of that, and I'm sure the other, you know, teams have also just reaching out randomly to somebody like, hey, I don't know if you heard about this thing, Grid League. I think you'd be an amazing fit. Let's talk about it. And there's also finding just talent that you know and you didn't think that you would be good. Like or at first glance you didn't think they would be interested, not necessarily not be good. Um, and that's kind of how we found a couple of our people. Bailey, that joined our team last season, she was somebody that I knew from a blacklisted camp, athlete camp, and I met her, and I knew that she was a great like strength specialist, like could be a great strength specialist. She can squat a house, so I was posting on my Instagram, and she replied one day, and she was like, "Oh, I don't know if I'm good enough for this. Like, would you?" I was like, "Hey, let's talk to Briley. Let's chat about it." End up that she was a incredible piece on our strength
Yep.
roster for all the mirrors and barbell cycling. So yeah, it's a combination of a lot of that, and sometimes getting lucky.
I mean, you definitely reaching out to throwing just haymakers out there and seeing what
Yeah.
connects. I mean, sometimes you got to take those chances. Um, but it's is it a lot of work, or is it you just need like one or two?
For us or in
Yeah,
general? For
just
us, okay.
yeah,
I would say um, it will be a few.
yeah,
Not a lot. It's a lot of work to recruit the right people. That's kind of what my question was about. It's a lot of
yeah.
work to recruit people because you get rejected so much. You get rejected left on red like you've never been rejected in your entire life. You got to be okay with that. But
It's
for us,
it's
I think it's adding a
frustrating.
few.
It's frustrating because you'll see someone on let's Instagram,
Hmm.
ton of followers, a ton of content. So you know they're on and you can
Oh
see
yeah,
when they're active, but they
yeah,
leave it unread forever. And
yeah.
that's kind of it's kind of strange to me. It makes me wonder, well, they know that it's there, or is this a real person?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
we don't want to get down the AI hole. We did that last time, but
Yeah, that is true.
no,
But it's different. I'm not. I'm in the person. I'm the type of person that replies to everything. As most people know, I comment on everything. I reply to every message. Um, I call people out. I get called out. It's a whole thing. But I don't understand people who just leave it on red and never reply. Like sometimes it takes me, a couple days, but I always reply.
yeah.
So yeah, interesting.
What are your thoughts on the league? Um, what you think? I mean, it's very early. We have no idea who's coming back, who's maybe switching teams, who's coming in. I mean, we do know that there's an entirely new team in the league with the
Hmm.
Wolves. And they're signing a lot of people, it looks like. But going in, knowing what you know right now today, what's your outlook on the next season?
I mean,
I'm
I
throwing
think,
some setup questions at you. I'm
yeah.
trying to get you some heat.
Um, I mean, we talked about the team situation, right? Like the number of teams. Like you don't need to
Yeah.
be a mathematician to know
Need
that
one more.
nine teams is not even. So it's either somebody's coming in or somebody's going out. I threw a completely out of left field comment in the last show that you had with, oh no, was it your show? No, Jason's show maybe.
Jason show? Yeah.
That the Bandits might not be coming back, but then they just re-signed Lawrence, so they're here. Um, I don't know. Maybe the Aces are making a comeback and separate from the Lions. Megan didn't say she was coming back to the Lions. She's left it up in the air, but she is coming back. So I caught on to that, Megan.
Yeah. On Jason's show, Jason
Yep.
Fitness Media, Plate Stack Chat, we had Megan on, and our running joke was we were going to, I think our running joke with Megan was to bring her on each of our shows on a rotation weekly and just ask her, are you coming back? And like try to like be the one to break it.
Yeah.
So she's still unsure. My hope is that she comes back. I mean, she's an all-star, for crying out loud. She's great at what she does. Like,
Exactly.
she needs to come back. I mean, she really does.
But hey, is she coming back to resuscitated Aces, or is she coming back to the Lions?
I mean,
Did Taylor get too much FOMO from being commentator instead of being a coach and an athlete? We don't know.
She's really good at that at that desk. I mean, I'm
she
gonna tell
is really good. Oh my gosh,
good.
it's so entertaining.
So her and Cassie get it done over there. What's funny is they do a really good job, and I have no idea what they say until I watch it back, and I'm like, man, they crushed that. But in the midst of it all, I don't ever get to hear what they're saying. I just can look over sometimes and I can see like excitement and joy and like eyes, and like it's kind of funny. But they do a great job. But yeah, the league, it's kind of it's in a good spot. But yeah, I think that 9 teams has been the sticking point now that we know that there's a 9th team. And like you said, there's a little bit of unknown about, is there going to be a 10th team? What would you prefer? Would you prefer there to be a 10th team that's brand new, or would you rather there be the Aces come back with a group of people that have already been in the league, or would you rather just go like what is it, like European soccer style and championship league, and just get rid of the lowest team?
Oh,
Sorry,
that
Dave.
was a suggestion.
That's not a suggestion. That's just
no, that was a comment that was thrown out by somebody on Jason's show that you're on. They're like, okay, so it's 9 teams, but only the top 8 compete every season, and the last one just drop down and sit on the bench for a year. That would cause some drama. I'm telling you, that would cause some drama. That would be interesting though if they don't find a 10.
Gotta have more teams. Gotta have more teams to do
but
something.
I would hope that there's another team. We kind of talked about like, oh, they're running out of time to put another team out. Like, remember, it's only September. I think we got caught up on like the season ending and like, oh, they're running out of time. But like, I think last year, and
I don't think the Houston team.
Yeah, they didn't come up until like January or something. Yeah.
I want to say it may have been in the works in like September, October, November, but
the
I'd have to go back and look. Yeah, I have to go back and look, but I only think they had a handful of months to really put together a roster.
Yeah, so I think the Wolves are doing an excellent job of like marketing and posting things and doing combines and stuff like that, which is great. That's what the league needs to step it up and go to the next level. But yeah, there's plenty of time for a new team to come in, and hopefully it does. I would prefer to have 10 teams and have the league grow. And heck, maybe in 2 years from now we have 12. You know what I mean? Like in 2 years, we add another 2 teams and continue to grow, and maybe get 4 different conferences instead of only 2, and keep growing from there. But with that number of teams growing, that's the discussion we had is, are we going to do double headers every weekend to make it people's money or in time worth, and is that going to take a toll on everybody's body, or if we know ahead of time enough, we can prepare for double headers every single weekend of the season. So those are cool things that I know up in the air, and I would love to know. Mather, if you're listening,
Yep.
just let us know.
Yeah, it's one of those, like, I think everybody is in favor for as much grid as they can get. I just think the financial and the logistics is where the breakdown can be. And obviously you don't
Yeah,
want to sacrifice those two aspects, because that's how you lose the sport, is when your, you know, financials are bad and the logistics of everything just outweigh the positives that you have for doing it. You know, obviously there's injuries that factor into that too when you're playing double
right.
headers and you're condensing the season and playing more matches. Like, there's that level, because I don't think necessarily that grid is a sport where you're more inclined to get injured. I just think it creates this other, like, it's almost like a competition where you're training for, but it's more of these in a row on top of the training that you're doing, on top of the other competition. I just think it's just another thing that you pick up these overtraining and overuse injuries because you're doing a lot of training for a lot of
Yep.
different things. And um, you know, thankfully I haven't, you know, there were some injuries here and there on the grid, but thankfully, like, from what I've seen, everybody's been able to come back relatively soon. It's nothing too serious that keeps you out. You might have to have some surgery here or there on a shoulder, a knee, an ankle, or something, but usually it's nothing that's going to prevent someone from being able to continue to compete once they rehab, which is good. Um, but before we get out of here, Artur, anything? This is kind of just a round table little discussion. This is for
Love
you.
those.
I know you are a guy who has a lot to say. You have a lot of opinions on a lot of things. You're very passionate about the league. So this is your opportunity for the next couple minutes just to throw anything out there for us to just chat about.
All
It could
right.
be about the league. It could be about anything.
I will make voice of some of the comments I left on last show. The first thing is people love to hate on the challenges. Listen, we cannot afford, and I mean that with all due respect, we cannot afford to only have one challenge per team now, right? We need more consistent judging to be able to afford those. And I know there's judges flags as well, etc. However, as the league progresses, as the athletes get faster and faster and faster, is exponentially harder to the naked eye see good movement, right? So
It
I
is.
understand the argument.
I will say this. Even when you slow it down on video, it can still be very difficult
Mm-hmm.
to
Yeah.
define, like, not good movement from bad movement. Those things are pretty obvious, but like the line of, like, the degree at which is a fault to where it's barely a rep, if that
Right.
makes sense. That
Mm-hmm.
little area, and that's the area that you flirt with in grid, because that's where the speed is. And
And we were
like,
trying to push for that. Like Mather
yes,
said, like we're pushing for
fast
fast
action.
action is grid. Grid is fast action. Grid is fast action. So if we're pushing for fast action at all times, we have to be okay with stepping back and reviewing the calls because sometimes the naked eye cannot capture that. Like, and we talk about judging, but if I was a judge, I would probably miss some of the calls too. It's like no human can be perfect. You know what I mean? And it's
Right.
easy to blame on the judge, and everybody has done that. But like at the same time, I don't think we can afford to not have the two challenges. We just have to find a way, maybe with like the playback speed and be able to retrieve the videos faster on the back end and stuff like that, or live replay, some feature on the live stream that makes that process faster. But I don't think taking away the challenge is the answer. So that's my first discussion topic.
Fair. Fair enough.
The second one is the reruns. And I'm very passionate about this one. I'm going to
I
sound like Mather right now. I'm
I
very
can
passionate about this one.
yes, I can see a scenario where reruns do not benefit the team that it should benefit, if that makes sense.
Yes. And I will give an example, and this is not me being butthurt for us losing an echo or a race, but it happened in every match in Dallas happened a similar situation where a team would win a race and then a challenge would be thrown, rerun would be established to be done. Rerun happens, the other team wins because they're better on the back half. Because the reruns, for whoever's listening, don't know, you only run the back half of the race. You don't rerun the entire race, which it extremely favors the team who's best on the last few or on the back half elements. In the case of the Echo with 4 elements, we opened the race with a lot of advantage on the first 2 elements. We opened a margin, like a time on that, which allows us, even being slower on the back half, it allows us to win the race because we were better on the first half, right? So they couldn't catch up on the back half. When we do the rerun, it starts on the last 2 elements, which it only favors the other team. So I do not understand, and I also didn't understand Mather's argument, and we can have a conversation about that. To why we rerun the last 2 elements and not rerun the entire race with half of the reps. And that's my suggestion. Rerun the entire race, which is a fair end-to-end race, cut the reps in half, cut even more, cut to a third if you want to, depending if it's a high rep race. And just run start to end half of the reps. It doesn't favor any teams. And similar to sprint relay, I think Josh made a very similar point to that, where it's like either we rerun everything with half of the reps, or you get teams to pick or eliminate 2 of the movements of their choice. In like you got 10 seconds, pick or eliminate 1 movement, next team, and then until you have 4 movements, and you go.
Yeah, it's
So yeah,
almost
I'm very passionate about that one.
well, the thing is if there's a, for instance, if there's a flag in football, there
Right.
is a penalty for that flag. And even now, things are reviewable to where you can go back and create the penalty from what wasn't seen at first, but now it is seen. If that makes sense. But yes,
Mhm.
the team that does it right versus the team that does it wrong, the team that does it wrong shouldn't have any type of like extra benefit because they did it wrong, or any extra ability to win a race or be better at a race because they did it wrong. There should be some type of penalty where, it's hard to go, okay, well, they're going to start 10 seconds later than the other team on this rerun. I mean, then it takes a little bit of math and some time and a lot of like
Yeah,
years.
and
But I think,
we could go down the rabbit hole of doing that, and it's like,
yeah,
okay, but the team, so like let's say team one won by 15 seconds, but then the other team lost 5 seconds on that no rep or whatever
right.
default. So they're gonna start 10 seconds behind or something like that. Like that takes the entertainment value out of it. And I think that's something that Mather in the league really want to have is the entertainment value. Like if you have a team going, the other team just waiting in the start line for 10 seconds and then go, I think
Right.
you lose a little bit of that. So it could be a more fair assessment of like giving some time and adjusting and starting later. But yeah, I don't think it would be the ideal solution there.
Well, who knows? Maybe next time you come on, Artur, maybe there's some updates in the rule book. And
Hey,
maybe your idea of just rerunning it with half the reps, maybe that's the solution. Who
man,
knows?
it would make me very happy.
It
But yeah,
it would be the Artur clause in the challenges.
And I
You
mean,
could
I
have
don't
your
know if I was the first one to ever suggest this, but it's just something that came up to mind, and I think it'll be a good compromise there.
Yeah, I mean, with any league, you've got to make changes as you go, and
Oh yeah.
every professional league has a players union that brings these things up. And I think what I will say about grid league is while there's maybe not necessarily a players union, I think the players do have a voice, and I think
Mhm.
they have the opportunity to express their voice. Maybe it's not the players directly, but maybe it is the players giving feedback to the owners and the owners bringing that to the table. But I do think there is a good process for hearing those opinions and things that need to be changed. But Artur, man, I'm gonna let you bounce. It's a long night, 9:30 on the east. You got to put some kids to bed for me and
That is
get
true.
ready to get my Friday on, brother. I appreciate
Yeah.
you stopping by and talking. It was nice catching up to you. But anything you want to plug or promote?
I just want to give a shout out to Josh and Shay. They're opening their new gym,
Let's
Off the
go.
Grid Fitness. If you're around Alabama, Muscle Shoals, I think, is the city. They're opening soon. They just got it together. It's looking amazing. So shout out to both of them. They're good people. They're hard workers, man. And so just want to give a shout out to them.
Yeah, definitely. Josh and Shay, great people. Great people to know, and I'm telling you, great people to train with. So if you're in the area, you want a place that you can call home as far as when it comes to fitness, look no further. Off the Grid. They got you covered. I'm telling you, it'll be hard, but it'll be fun and it'll be worth it. Artur,
Absolutely.
man, hey, best of luck with Pensacola. Best of luck with any of the competitions you got, and keep me posted. Let me know what's going on with the Palms, and we'll touch base, say closer to maybe the end of the year or start of the new season, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. That's Artur Cabral, the South Beach Palms. If you like hearing Artur's story, or you just like hearing Average Joe's talk X's and O's in Off the Bench podcast on YouTube, head to Facebook, like, subscribe, notifications, all the extra bells and whistles that you want to do. We'd appreciate it. Hearts, hugs, loves, you know the drill. We'll see everybody next week. Got some options. Got some wolves out there. I've been telling you, this is the summer of the wolves. A lot of signings, a lot of people coming down the pipe for the wolves. So we might have that option. Or I do want to get some coaches together. I want to do, and you guys can give me some feedback on this, whether you think you would like it or not. I want to do like a coaches roundtable. I want to talk just generalities of issues or big time things or problems or things that coaches deal with when it comes to athletes or sports. And these could be heavy hitting topics or just kind of the day-to-day grind of practices or games or, motivation, those types of things. But definitely want to do like a coaches roundtable where we give one topic and we break it down. We hear opinions, we hear the sides of all the coaches and what they had to say. Philosophically, how they feel from a coaching standpoint, just the whole gamut. But if that's something you want to hear, let me know. Give me some feedback. If not, we'll see you everybody next week. Appreciate y'all. As always, remember, strong body, sharp minds, grid and grind all the time. We're out.